He was the fourth-generation son of a military family. Thanks to his family's influence, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant the moment he enlisted. His first assignment was to lead his company by train from Italy to the Eastern Front. Although he had no experience as an officer, his father had told him that an officer must always maintain his dignity. Therefore, he never joined in the soldiers' jokes and banter, but remained silent at all times. He spent most of his time writing letters to his fiancée, recounting his experiences along the way and the endless longing in his heart. Because he didn't fit in with the other soldiers, he stood out like a sore thumb. The veterans, seeing his pretentious manner, even began to mock him as a bookish graduate fresh out of military academy who wouldn't last 3 days on the battlefield. Hearing the veterans' words, the soldiers all burst into laughter. Facing their mockery, Hans said nothing, for at that moment he believed that once he reached the battlefield, he would soon be able to silence these mocking soldiers with his exceptional combat skills. After several days of travel, they finally crossed a distance of 2,000 kilometers and arrived at the legendary Eastern Front. Yet when Hans arrived there, the first sight that met his eyes was not the fluttering flags and rumbling war drums he had imagined, but a group of wounded soldiers with exhausted faces and vacant stares. Looking at the scene before him, Hans fell into deep thought. In that moment, he seemed to have sensed a glimpse of the cruelty of war. They also unexpectedly encountered a group of Soviet prisoners of war being escorted to the rear. Watching as a Soviet prisoner was pinned to the ground and brutally beaten by military police simply for lagging behind, the kind-hearted Hans immediately stepped forward to try to stop them. Hans shouted that military regulations forbade the mistreatment of prisoners, but in the very next second, he was knocked to the ground with a heavy punch from a military policeman, and the prisoner who had just been beaten was killed outright by the military police. Seeing the prisoner lying motionless on the ground, Hans was furious. He struggled to his feet and approached the military police commander to protest the soldier's abuse of the prisoner, but the commander replied coldly, "If you want to protest, go see the general." With that, the commander burst into a defiant laugh. But what no one expected was that the stubborn Hans actually went to see the general over the death of a single prisoner. Yet the general simply told him he was too busy every day to deal with such trivial matters.